The top story on ABC News Breakfast. Independent MP Rob Oakeshott says Parliament needs to test Craig Thomson's statement that he didn't misuse union funds. Mr Thomson has denied Fair Work Australia's finding that he used union money to pay for prostitutes.
He's accused former union official Marco Bolano of setting him up, an accusation that Mr Bolano is fiercely denying. Mr Oakeshott says he finds Mr Thomson's account unlikely and insists Parliament must test it.
Either Craig has got it wrong and is pretty quickly going to go out the back door based on misleading of the Parliament, or we've got some pretty substantial allegations right back at Fair Work Australia, the length of time they took, and for pretty badly landing some of these findings. And so a rocket's going to go one way or the other. It's not for me to judge, but I think over the coming days and weeks, we do need to get an answer on just who's right, who's wrong, because evidence is running into each other.
For more, Melissa Clark joins us now from Canberra. Good morning, Melissa. Now, Craig Thomson made some rather explosive claims and allegations in his statement. How have the people that he's named responded?
Well, the direct response has been denials all round from Craig Thomson's allegations. During his speech in Parliament, which took an hour to deliver, he managed to get across a number of people's names, put forth and detailing what his concerns were when it comes to the Deputy General Secretary of the HSU East Branch, Marco Bolano. He accused him of being the one behind a threat to set him up with prostitutes. Marco Bolano has denied that and has raised concerns about Craig Thomson's state of mind in amongst his denials. There were also claims against Michael Lawler, the Vice President of Fair Work Australia, as the partner of Cathy Jackson, a rival in the union of the HSU. He raised questions about Michael Lawler's influence over the Fair Work Australia findings, and also raised his own allegations against Cathy Jackson's pay and use of union funds. Now, Cathy Jackson has vigorously defended both herself and her partner as well, and has denied any knowledge of or any of the suggestions that Craig Thomson made that there had been a confrontation between him and Marco Bolano that she'd been made aware of and ignored. So she was vociferous in all her denials of allegations when she spoke to 7:30 last night.
Did you witness any kind of confrontation between those two men?
Never.
And yet Mr Thomson said that he wrote to you about that confrontation. Have you ever received a letter about it?
I have never received a letter about any confrontation. If he has a letter, then he should provide it, not only to me, but to the Victoria Police or Strikeforce Carnarvon.
Are you aware of any union officials before Mr Thomson being accused of consorting with prostitutes?
No.
Are you aware of a conversation where another official, Michael Williamson, said that it was a common practice for the Victorian branch to do that?
No.
That's Cathy Jackson, the HSU National Secretary, speaking to Chris Uhlmann on 7:30 last night. Now, what about the political reaction, Mel? The independents were, of course, waiting for Craig Thomson's statement before deciding whether they'd support any opposition action against him.
Well, what we have since Craig Thomson gave his address to Parliament yesterday was the government defending and trying to avoid debate on the speech itself, even though very few government members were actually in the chamber to support Craig Thomson at the time. From the opposition, they are trying to make moves against him in the Parliament using tactics. We understand they'll continue to try to suspend him potentially for 14 days, but that would require, of course, getting the support of the crossbenchers. Now, the crossbenchers have been very eager to hear Craig Thomson defend himself, but haven't been so keen on taking formal action. What we've heard from Rob Oakeshott, the independent member for Lion, is that he has concerns about the process. He's very concerned about the fact that you clearly have the findings of a statutory authority like Fair Work Australia in a comprehensive report saying one thing, and Craig Thomson saying directly to Parliament another thing. And he's concerned that there isn't a good mechanism in place for the Parliament to necessarily be able to resolve what is a clear conflict or clearly directly contrasting stories. And Rob Oakeshott is calling for debate in Parliament to try and resolve some of these issues. That's what he told Lateline last night.
What now is somewhat difficult and needs a bit of thought is just what is the status of these Fair Work Australia findings. It should be the expectation of parliamentarians and of the community, if we're going to get advice from an independent statutory body of the Commonwealth, particularly if it takes 4 years, that it will be accurate and it will be of substance. Unfortunately, that's now been brought into question today, and we need to get some clarity through a whole range of processes, committee, parliamentary and others, as to just what is the status of these findings, because until we do, as I said before, we've got evidence running into each other.
That's the Independent MP Rob Oakeshott there. Melissa Clark in Canberra will come back to you a bit later in the morning.